Amazon FBA. It's a business model that's really revolutionized the way that we shop, but also the way that e-commerce store owners do business. But are you putting yourself in a weaker position overall by your over-reliance on Amazon FBA as an e-commerce store owner? Let's get into it. So I work at Empire Flippers. We are an online business brokerage that helps people to sell their online businesses. And a lot of the businesses that we sell are e-commerce businesses. Now, I'll see a lot of purely Amazon FBA businesses, and I will see a lot of e-commerce that still use Amazon FBA, but maybe also have a Shopify store, maybe also have some other kind of website or drive their traffic through social media. And I've got to say, all other things considered, if you were to compare an Amazon FBA business with an e-commerce business that has diversified sales channels, you're very likely to see that e-commerce business have a higher valuation. So why is that, you might ask? So when businesses reach out to us to be listed on our marketplace, we will work with them and assign a valuation. And based on a few factors of the business, we will assign a valuation multiple. Now, you're more likely to see a more holistic e-commerce business have a higher valuation multiple and also be seen as a more attractive acquisition by buyers. Now, of course, this assumes that that business isn't more operationally complex compared to Amazon FBA. One of the major reasons why people build Amazon FBA businesses and buy them is because a lot of the tasks are essentially being outsourced to Amazon. But this kind of convenience has brought us to this interesting moment in the e-commerce timeline where it's common for people to become over-reliant on the tool that is Amazon FBA. Now, in Ryan Moran's book, 12 Months to 1 Million, which is about building an e-commerce business to making $1 million in a year, he says that a lot of people get into e-commerce now thinking that they own an Amazon business or an Amazon FBA business, when in reality, they should see this as owning an e-commerce business and a brand where one of the sales channels, your only sales channel perhaps at the moment, is Amazon FBA. And I think this is an important even mindset distinction to make because it affects how e-commerce store owners do business, and I think it will affect how you should be doing business into 2024 and beyond. So what does this actually mean? Well, here are a few of the mindset differences and the business operational differences between somebody who thinks they own just an Amazon FBA business to somebody who thinks more holistically on their e-commerce strategy. The first is inventory management, or making sure that your products are ready to be sold and that they get to your customer. For Amazon FBA purists, or those who rely only on Amazon FBA, they might either ship their inventory directly from a manufacturer to Amazon fulfillment centers, and maybe they never see the inventory. Now, the e-commerce brand owner may have a third-party logistics company, which is a company that kind of works as an intermediary where you can send inventory to that location and they either fulfill inventory to Amazon fulfillment centers or directly to customers. Now, some of the benefits of having, for example, a third-party logistics company is that you'll be able to manage your inventory better or avoid stockouts a little bit better. Amazon does have restrictions as far as the amount of inventory that you can send to their fulfillment centers, depending on what type of products you sell, or just depending on how long you've had an Amazon Seller Central account. And especially for some product types or brands where you might see a bulk of your sales seasonally, like during Christmas, for example, you'll need a lot more inventory during certain times of the year over others. So having a third-party logistics company provides that flexibility and makes it less likely that if you are managing your inventory properly, you are less likely to stock out. Now, the second part is de-risking your business. So if you're selling purely on Amazon FBA, you are fully aware there is a risk that you can be kicked off the platform. And these might be for very small infringements, or maybe it's just a competitor who's filed a complaint against your business in order to pause your listings and in doing so delay your sales. In many ways, you might have very little control, and it's in those moments where you actually realize how little control you have.
I can't believe this.
over your business if you're reliant entirely on Amazon FBA and all of your sales go to zero overnight. Compare that to somebody who owns a Shopify store and their own website and they're driving traffic to the store. They might also have an Amazon FBA component. And if anything does happen to that FBA component, your business doesn't shut down overnight. You are aware of that, and buyers are definitely aware of that when they're looking at how risky this investment is, and maybe more specifically, how likely it is that this business is going to continue to drive return for the number of years required to see a full return on their investment. So this is the point, regardless of if you want to sell or keep your business, to have these diversified sales channels to keep you sleeping better, knowing that you're still going to have a business the next morning you wake up, regardless of these account violations. Now, third are the traffic channels. I did mention this a little bit in the second point, but if you are completely reliant on the Amazon ecosystem, you will be also reliant on the organic traffic driven by Amazon and Amazon PPC, or pay-per-click advertising. Now, compare that to traffic that you drive on to your Shopify store. You're going to have to figure that out, how you're going to profitably drive traffic, whether that's through a social media campaign, whether that's through advertising paid through Google, whether that's through an email newsletter if you are driving traffic. And speaking of newsletters, that leads to the fourth point, which is about owning the relationship with your customers. So if you are relying purely on Amazon FBA, you have very limited interaction with your customers. There are ways of reaching out and asking them to provide a review, an honest review, of course, but there isn't really a way to continuously engage with that audience or learn anything about them. It's definitely a more transactional feel. Now, of course, there are ways around that, people putting in product inserts into the products themselves to try to offer something for free, and you can still do that, but compare that to actually building an email list or putting out an email newsletter where you can engage with your audience and learn about who they are and let them know about new products that have come out, or remind them to repurchase products that they've already purchased. There's a lot more that you can do to interact with your customer, both in a transactional way, but also in just a way that provides more value to your audience. Now, if you're thinking, man, I don't want to focus on all of those different sales channels, the different traffic channels, thinking about these different platforms, I would just like to log into Amazon FBA and sell my product and do that. And I completely understand. It's a more simplified process. And I still encourage you to simplify your e-commerce process to where it feels operationally as complex as running an Amazon business. But the thing that you need to understand is if you're going to build a real business, especially one that is more resilient in a competitive market that just continues to grow into 2024 and beyond, these are the ways that you get ahead of your competition. And it's oftentimes that we'll see people who come from an e-commerce background who then enter the Amazon FBA space who just completely destroy competition because they have all that experience of inventory management when it wasn't completely outsourced to Amazon, of building an email list and interacting with their customer and listening to how to iterate the product, of working with manufacturers, maybe actually going to the manufacturing locations and building a relationship with them and figuring out how to get better prices on higher quality products, whether it's building these different traffic channels, different social media channels. If you come in with that experience and then you work on a platform like Amazon FBA, or you add that to your repertoire of these different sales channels that you have, and this one is way easier than your other sales channels. First of all, Amazon FBA will probably be way easier for you, but you'll already have this plan for how to build your business and grow your business that's not reliant on Amazon FBA. And the same can't as easily be said about those who rely purely on Amazon FBA, and especially those who aren't willing to explore traffic channels outside of that. Now, of course, in this video, I'm talking about all the benefits of having a holistic e-commerce approach, but if just operating on Amazon FBA is working for you, that's fine. Just understand that it's your decision to make if you want to become a really good Amazon FBA operator, or if your goal is to build that brand to the next level, because you'll not only be increasing your revenue and profits by exploring these other channels outside of Amazon FBA, but you'll also be increasing your valuation should you decide to exit that business in the future. But because of that, that's why I believe you should build your business to remain resilient for really whatever's to come. And of course, part of being resilient is just being up to date with what's going on in the online space, in your online world. And one way you can stay up to date is by subscribing to This Week in M&As, our free weekly newsletter that we put out every Friday, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And if you are curious about what a broker is and if it makes sense to sell your business privately or through a broker if you actually need one, then I highly recommend clicking on the video here. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.